be exactly what you want to be without all of the fear around you. We have to stand up together.
Welcome everybody to another episode of the Chairman Project with your humble host, Jason Sisneros. And we are going to jump into a subject this week, and it's called Break Camp. Welcome everybody. Thank you. We're live right now on Twitter, as everybody should know by now. I say it at the beginning of every podcast, and we're live. Those of you that have gone to built-to-exit.biz and put in your email address, you know that a couple of days after this podcast, you get my show notes that I prepared for the show. There's the video that goes out. It's on YouTube and iHeartRadio and all of the places for you to go ahead and listen to it. But if you have signed up at built-to-exit.biz with your email address, you get a complete list of notes, and you get the video, and you get whatever announcements that we make on here, and the ability to communicate back and forth with us every single week. So I want to say welcome to those of you that are watching this on video or replay, listening to it on video or replay, and to my live audience that is with us on Twitter, which you got to join, because you never know what's going to happen. Today we got into another conversation which is probably going to lead into the conversation that we have after the podcast. But there's some great conversations that happen there from real business owners that come and hang out with us. They come and hang out with us. We have real world conversations about building businesses, and we have people that come up after this that ask questions about their businesses. They make comments on the show, and we have an amazing community of people that are coming together to do business with each other. That's why this podcast exists, is so that we can band together as the 33 million business owners here in the United States that are designated as SME, small and mid-sized enterprises. All that means is you have 0 employees to 499. That's us. We do 60% of the GDP. We do 60% of the hiring. We are massively important to this country and its future, and to the world, to be honest with you, because without us 33 million continuing to carry that mantle, what happens is what happens in every country, where you have the rich, and that money consolidates into too few pockets, right? And then eventually there's only a government and their corrupt partners in unethical capitalism, right? This country changed that. This country changed that dynamic back in 1890, right? 1776 when we started our country, but when we started actually supporting the idea of individuals being able to create their own destiny by owning their own companies, by having to face down their own demons, by having to fall in love with the outcome of their clients, by having to fall in love with the outcomes of their employees, that shifted in 1890. There was a consolidation, much like we see happening in today's United States business arena. In 1890, we started to see the consolidation of too many dollars consolidating into the pockets of too few people, right? And so the greatest anti-consolidation document in the history of mankind is the Constitution, right? And second to that is the Sherman Act of 1890. That just said, you know what, there needs to be a free and fair environment for people to be able to do business with each other. That's when we started to thrive. That's when we flipped abject poverty on its head. That's when the world began to become more free and more just and all of those things that come along with the idea of meritocracy. You have the opportunity to increase your skill sets and your ability to serve the people around you through this concept of owning a business. And there's so many amazing opportunities, so many great things that have come from that we find ourselves in this world right now that we find ourselves in, right? Our government is printing too much money. We have all the stuff going on around us, and the sanity and my family and the people that I love and the people that I love hanging out with are people who own small businesses. because it's on our shoulders. We can turn everything around by simply redirecting the dollars that we already spend to someone near us, someone in our local community, somebody that we find online that's not a monstrosity of a company like Amazon, who is just doing everything that they can to eliminate humans from their business model. Okay, I don't know where that ends. I don't even know how anybody can think have the concept that that is going to end well for anybody by just taking humans out of the production line and replacing them with robot and AI and all the other kind of stuff. Now, I believe that this community, again, that's why I do the show. That's why I'm still in the game. That's why I do the things that I do, because I love my fellow business owners. It availed me the opportunity to be free, right? For me to do the things that I love, for me to be able to rescue kids, for me to be able to help domestic violence survivors, for me to help feed people around the world, for me to provide a future for my kids, for me to be able to provide travel and fun and different things for my wife and I and my family. For us to do this small business, I honor it. I hold it up. I do my best because it supported me and served me so well. I'm here in my give back phase to make sure that you in my family, called the small business community, are successful. Okay, I'm passionate about it. I love it. I think that we are the ones that are going to put this world back on the right track of serving our neighbors and overcoming our own weaknesses and getting out of this culture of blaming everybody else and trying to come up with new and unique ways of addressing principled turnarounds, right? Turning around things with principles. There is bedrock and there is truth, right? And there is no flexing on principles and truth. That's what we talk about here week to week, is the bedrock, the principles of business. Okay, so thank you for that long intro for me getting there. Today's show was inspired. My wife and I and my kids, we went to church last week. And we sat in on they had a guest speaker by the name of Becky Johnson. And actually the title of today's show is the title of her talk. And you can go Google it if you really want to dive into the biblical background of what I'm saying and whatnot. Now I'm kind of drafting off of what she talked about on Sunday because it was so powerful. It was really cool to listen. Obviously, I look and listen to everything that I hear through the lens of, is this and can this support my audience in the small business community? And as she was talking, and she came up with this concept and was speaking, I was like, man, this is going to be something I want to touch on next Saturday's show. This was Sunday last week that we went to church and listened to this. And the whole idea is that you know, challenges define us, right? Victories inspire us. And we're going to talk, really the title of today's show should really be, business is not for the faint of heart, right? We're going to dive into like 5 critical concepts that I got from her sermon that every entrepreneur should understand and embrace to succeed. And the idea where her talk started was basically the Israelites were leaving Egypt and they were on their way to the promised land, right? And it was a trip. Like, think about, again, as you listen to this story today, just think about your own journey in business. Think about your own process that you've gone through when you first came up with your idea for a business, and then you funded it, and then you went to work, and then, you know, you made some money, and then you got well, you're like, I'm not making enough money, and then you hired your first person, they screwed you over. Like, just think about this for just a second. They left Egypt on a trip that was supposed to take 11 days. they left Egypt on a trip that was supposed to take 11 days. And this story is out of Deuteronomy, by the way, if you want to dive into the Bible afterwards and check it out. But they left, and it was supposed to be it was an 11-day trip that took 40 years. Now just stop and think about your own life. right? When you opened your business, or when you started your marriage, or when you started your physical fitness routine, and you think about that, how many of us have gotten on a trip that if we had process, procedure, if we knew everything that we now know about business, if we had that all systemized, if we had it all sequenced, how much faster would we be able to get to our end game, right? And you think about that just for a second. That trip that was supposed to take 11 days and that you and I could do and walk today, we could do that walk in 11 days, took 40 years. And there was so much wisdom in the sermon that she gave. And what happened was they got about halfway there and they camped, and God was providing this stuff called manna, which is basically, just think of the most bland bread you could possibly have falling on the ground, but it was sustenance. Where in your life are you accepting manna? Right? Which is bland. It's not the land, the promised land that you're going to, where you can plant, bananas and apples and raise cattle and have big, thick, juicy steaks. And you could do all that stuff, but you're getting by, right? You're kind of getting by. You have this amazing tool in your hand called a business, this amazing machinery that you've seen succeed for people for millennia. There's people that are successful. There's people that are making more money than they need. But you're taking the manna, right? You're eating that bland version of success. Yes, you're free, right? You've been freed from Egypt. In other words, you don't have a job, you're starting your own business, right? You've been freed from your situation, and now you're out there, and but you've kind of accepted, you've gotten yourself into a comfort zone, right? Which is that the reason why it took them 40 years is because they got into a comfort zone, right? They didn't want to do the things that were necessary to go take the land that was promised to them by God. Right? And I'm not giving a sermon today because I'm not a preacher. I'm not real versed in the Bible as of yet. I'm on my way. I'm a new Christian. But I find this story so fascinating because of how much it applies to so many of the businesses, right? I've been in this business world for decades now. And as I was listening to her sermon and I dug into the word afterwards, I was like, oh my gosh, there's so many great lessons here. Our end game, which is unique to every single one of us. And those of you that are new listeners, the end game is simply the who I preach to, who I speak to every single week on this podcast is the one. I'm speaking to you as an individual, because 33 million, we're a 33 million group of people in SMEs and small mid-sized companies in this country, but it's made up of a bunch of individuals. And so I'm speaking to the one. And if your end game, what I mean by that is, what has God or your own vision, what's the vision that was planted in your heart that you know and see for yourself? A new home, a home that's paid off, a new car, a trip, paying for your kids' college, whatever your particular end game is, that's your promised land that you've been given the tool called a business to be able to reach. And 90%, this is a big number, 90% of the business owners that I run into do not have a defined end game. They don't have a defined end game. They haven't said it. This podcast, there's many other podcasts where I talk about your end game. We have an end game calculator. If you ever want it, just reach out to us at built-to-exit.biz, right? But at the end game has to be clear so that you know where you're journeying to. Why are you building this business? And every single one of you, the people that are live in the audience, everybody that's listening to me here, you all have a different end game. It's all very unique to you, right? My mentor, and I've said this the last 3 or 4 shows, I'm going to say it again. My mentor, Keith Cunningham, said business is not a bathrobe. One size does not fit all. It fits you, and it fits your unique approach and end game. And so we go back to the Israelites leaving, right? They were freed. They were now free, just like you are, because you have your own business. You're now free to go create. And then you start to create and you get a little comfort zone, right? You get a little bit of money coming in and you're like, well, this is better than working for somebody, right? It's not the perfect thing, but I'm good. And so a journey that could take you 11 days takes you 40 years because you're stuck in comfort. You're stuck in familiarity is the word that she used in the sermon. You get familiar with the level of mediocrity that you have allowed for yourself, right? And so you forget that there is something for you. Again, whatever that is. It varies as much as the 8 billion people that are on the face of this planet. Whatever your end game is, I'm here for it. Hi, my name is Jason Sisneros, founder and chairman of Anton J Global, a world-class business consulting company that has helped hundreds of clients and thousands of growth course students fix, scale, and successfully master their businesses. To put it simply, my team and I help people turn their businesses into machines that create cash. To better support startups and other mid-sized companies, my team and I developed a phenomenal and comprehensive digital growth course where I poured decades of business ownership and know-how into 20 hours of content. This course is not easy. It's not an easy pill, but demands real work from you to implement the blueprints that I've developed. We know that reaching financial freedom is never easy, but totally worth it. Go to growthcourse.com right now to learn more about the course and get started on your business journey today. My end game, I'm there and getting it better. My vision continues to expand because I have been given the gift of this thing called business in a free and fair society that said, Jason, you have to overcome all of your bullshit, all of your biases, all of your weakness, all of your thoughts and things that you had about money, all of your relationship with your mom and your dad, your mommy issues, your daddy issues. Here's a tool that you can utilize to be able to economically free yourself in service of other people. And that's what you have. And I look back on my journey that took, decades for me to travel. How much more and how more quickly would I have been able to make that journey if I had the proper education? If somebody would have come to me and said, Jason, create your ultimate outcome, and then let's reverse engineer to where you are, and let's build your business to be able to achieve that. And then, of course, when you reach that end game, you're going to have a bigger vision and you're going to have to put together another machine and et cetera, et cetera. But if we're not spending time doing things of worth, then what are we spending our time doing? Think about that for a second, right? You're spending time doing something anyway. Are you investing it? Are you investing it in challenging yourself and sharpening your tools and sharpening your mind and learning something new and finding a system for you to be able to succeed with? Are you or are you not? Because all of us have the same 24 hours in a day. How are you utilizing it? How are you using it for your own journey? Are you accepting manna, right? Yes, provide, there's government programs, there's jobs that you can get, but my people in SME, we have been freed from Egypt because we're working on our own destiny right now. We're working on our own destiny. And so I came up with this, it was so timely. It was so timely to listen to this. And so I broke it down into my own kind of thing. And we say, and here's what I want to talk about first. Number one, and you could take notes on this or come back and revisit this later or built to exit.biz and get this on video, whatever you want to do. The notes are easy to refer back to. But I want to talk about first, the first thing that I took, and I had 5 of them that I'm going to go through, right? One is the freedom to pursue your own destiny. You have whatever, look, it's such an amazing awareness for you to understand that you control your own destiny. You have the freedom to pursue your own destiny. And the people that own small businesses, you don't have, you've gone at least a step beyond being a victim because you are physically acting on your own behalf to create your own freedom. That's why I love you. That's why I love this community, is because you have had to step away from victimhood or waiting for a government check or working for a job or whatever it is. You've stepped one step beyond that to take responsibility and realize that you have the freedom to pursue your own destiny. And as you do that, the second thing that you run into is falling into that trap of convenience and familiarity. You're on the journey, right? You have a trip that says it's 11 days. Here's what keeps you there for 40 years is falling into that trap of convenience and familiarity. You've got to be adaptable and continuously seeking new opportunities and new skill sets for you to be able to reach your end game. The third piece is that there's a cost to you accepting the blandness of certainty and the illusion of safety and security. There's a cost to accepting the blandness of certainty and safety and the illusion of safety and security. It doesn't really exist, right? Everybody's like, I'm going to just have a job and it's going to blah, blah, blah. We know that that's not true because if the boss is in a bad mood one day, they can fire you. If the economy goes well, if they make bad decisions, whatever it is, that your destiny actually is in somebody else's hands. And there's a cost. Even when you start your business, you've been freed, you start your business, you get into familiarity because it's paying some bills, and then you get used to eating at that trough of mediocrity. And then the most important, here's one of the things, we talk about this with all of our clients and all of our customers and all of the companies that I've ever had, I've gone through it in my life, is that when you start, this is really important for you to understand, and we call it the trough of disappointment, okay? The trough of disappointment. Because even in your blandness, like whatever you've accepted for your life, and some of us, including myself, we've accepted, right? We've accepted in some areas of our life, it's good enough, right? And when you make a decision to say, I've had enough of the manna, I've had enough of the blandness, I've had enough of this mediocrity, and I'm going to physically act against that and continue my journey, that 11-day journey. Maybe it's 20 years into it now, but I'm going to continue my journey because I've gotten clear on my end game. I've got clear on the promised land. I've got clear on the vision that God gave me and that I know that I can accomplish. And I'm going to physically act on that myself. I'm going to take responsibility. I'm going to clean up the way that I talk. I'm going to get my marketing in place. I'm going to, get a system in place. I'm going to learn more about finances. I'm going to learn more about operations. I'm going to research all of my competition and make sure I kick their ass. Like whatever it is, you're physically acting against it. And so what happens inevitably, not only inevitably, but predictably, is that you will come up against the trough of disappointment. And that is a time when you are doing something new and your results appear to get a little bit worse. You're like, oh shit, well, at least I had manna. Now I don't even have any manna because I've moved away from that camp, right? I've moved away from that camp that I camped for on an 11-day trip. I've camped for 20 years now. I've moved away from the camp and now food is not as predictable. Success is not as predictable. Sales are not as predictable. The responses that I get from my employees are not as predictable. We move into this trough of disappointment because you go, oh, I'm physically acting against it. I know I've got to do stuff different. And the stuff that I do different now is giving me negative feedback. It's gotten worse, Jason. And we know this is predictable. We know it's predictable. It's as predictable as the sun coming up during a day. Is that there is going to be a trough of disappointment. So if you plan for it, I'm doing something different. I'm taking a different route. I have to hang out with different people because the people that are around me, they party too much and I know I need to lock my door and lock my office and learn some new stuff. I need to get up to date on AI. I need to get up to date on branding and marketing. I need to get up to date on my finances, et cetera, et cetera. And so you extricate yourself from that and it becomes unfamiliar. And so in that unfamiliar space, because it's not a solid foot, it's like putting your foot down. Those of us, I know everybody's done it. You know, you're like, oh, there's another step here, and there is no other step. Or you think there is no other step, and you take another step. All of us have had that unsettling feeling that the ground is not solid underneath of us, especially those of us that have been in an earthquake. The ground is unsettled. And so as you restart your journey, or you're starting your journey on your path to your end game, the ground may be unfamiliar. It may be bumpy. It may be filled with sand pits. It may have different obstructions. It may have trees in your way. There might be a tiger in the woods. There might be all of these other kind of things. It is unsettling, and therefore not moving us towards our comfort, and therefore becomes a trough of disappointment. And it's in that trough of disappointment where the most danger exists. Because that is the place in your life where you think, I'll just go back to where it was familiar. Now think about your own life for just a second. How many of you have gone away from a relationship, or you've gone away from a job, or you've gone away because you're pursuing something different? You ran into a place of disappointment and you decide to go back to that old relationship. And you find 100% of the time that the comfort and security and safety of that place that you go back to was just an illusion, and it's never what you thought it was. It's changed because you've changed. You're not the same person. You have taken some risk. You have stretched your own bravery. You have seen the other side of, at least, even in uncertainty, at least you were free and you were pursuing something of your own volition. Human joy doesn't exist without progress. Human joy does not exist without progress. And in progress, there's pain, there's disappointment, there's stretch. There's no guarantee of outcome. There's no guarantee of success. It is an unknown space for you. So the greatest thing that you can do is to understand these things, to understand the journey along the way. You're free, and in your freedom, you become, this is back to step one, right? Freedom to pursue your own destiny. There's an excitement in it. There's a new level of energy where you're like, oh, I could make my own life. I'm so excited. What I'm leaving is gone. I'm free from that. I'm moving forward. There's an excitement of it. And then you get into it and you get a little bit of that freedom, but you don't get the actual end game because maybe you didn't even develop that end game, but you get a little bit of it and you stay there. Are you a business owner that's looking to build your company into a machine that creates cash? I'm Jason Sisneros, chairman and founder of Anton J Global, a world-class business consulting company that has turned around, merged, or prepped for sale hundreds of companies just like yours. I'm best known as the architect when it comes to fixing and building companies across the globe. My experience comes from owning and exiting over 20 of my own companies successfully. It's that real-world experience that I've converted into the ultimate blueprint that has saved and grown my clients' businesses. If you're tired of getting bad advice, have bought all the books, all the coaching programs, and still aren't seeing the success that you were promised, it might be time to work with a team that has actual experience and a track record of success. Please scan the QR code or visit antonj.com to schedule your free 15-minute consultation to see if we can help you reach your outcomes. That's antonj.com, ANTONJAE.com. Right? You stay there in that trap of convenience and familiarity. And then you start to understand there's a cost, right? You're like, I'm eating this stuff, but it's pretty bland. I'm here with my business. It's pretty bland, but at least it's sustaining me, right? And we start to anchor deeper into it. And then we go, you know what? I was freed once. I'm going to free myself again. I'm going to free myself from mediocrity. I'm going to free myself from blandness. I'm going to free myself from this unsavory taste and place that I find myself. And I'm going to move ahead. I'm going to move ahead on this 11-day journey that's taken me 20 years to take that next step. And then you go, oh shit, it got worse. You fall into the trough of disappointment. And then if you continue, if you do not go back, you move forward, then you've broken camp. And you're going to pursue your vision with no fallback position. You're going to pursue it with a passion, right? These are the people that you respect. This is the person that you look in the mirror because everybody's done it. Everybody that's live with me today, everybody that's listening to me on replay, I know one single fact about you is that you have succeeded. You have pushed through. You have gotten past all of these steps in your life, and you have moved yourself. When everybody around you tells you that you can't do it, or everybody else around you is stuck in mediocrity, when everybody else around you, it doesn't make any sense to what your heart and your mind is telling you to do, to what those few people that reach out to you and say you are capable of great things. I know every single one of you have overcome these issues to move forward. You take that next step and you go, I'm not going back. I don't care what happens, but whatever it is, I am not going backwards in my life ever again. I'm not doing it. And in that one single moment, you become the next greatest version of yourself. In that very single moment, you become the next biggest version of yourself that can never be compacted back into what you were yesterday. And there's pride in that. And usually when you hit that moment, you are alone. No one is around to see what you just did, to see you overcome your fear, to see you overcome your doubt, to see you overcome a weakness, to see you overcome a victimhood position, to see you expand into that next version. You're usually alone, but I see you. I've been you. I am you. I've been in those positions. And that's why we bond. You're breaking camp and you're pursuing your vision with no fallback. You are burning your boats. So here's the takeaway. Here's the takeaway. Then we're going to wrap up this show. Is that you got to break, I know that if you're listening to me, right? I know that if you're listening to me, because I fire myself up when I do these talks. When I come on the show, I do these shows almost as much for me as I do it for you, y'all. I love studying throughout the week, putting together a conclusion, wrapping my mind around where I need to overcome my weaknesses, and then putting it into a format that I can then communicate to you. And hopefully it ignites in even just one of you the idea that you are far greater than you are showing up as today. You are far greater, that you are needed. You are desperately needed as a freedom fighter, even if it's just economically, for you to succeed with your business on your own, for you to be able to expand, that you get fired up. There's a saying out there that says that the greatest weapon is a heart lit on fire. The greatest weapon known to mankind is the human heart lit on fire. And I have seen that over and over and over to be true. So in that journey, that 5-step journey that we just went through, here's 7 takeaways, right? Embrace independence. Your vision is unique. You have to have the courage to pursue it without fear or put somebody in your life or a group of people. That's why I love this group of people that shows up live every single Saturday, because you are all inspiring each other. You're all putting that firebrand on each other's tail. You're pursuing things. If you don't have the courage in moments, because I know nobody has courage 100% of the time. I have my wife, I have my friends, I have people that spur me along, because never in the eyes of my wife do I ever want to be looked at as a coward. It will not happen over my dead body. And so having my wife in my life as that person continually spurs me to move forward and to do greater things over and over and over again. My friends that are with me, that are here on this stage, that are with me in life, they spur me on to do great things. So embrace independence. Embrace your independence. Nobody, nothing is holding you back. There are no strings on me. Number 2, stay adaptable. Avoid the trap of convenience. Continually seek new opportunities and innovate. Number 3, choose excellence over comfort. Do not settle for mediocrity. Bold decisions lead to extraordinary outcomes. And remember, do not measure your outcomes against the fake ass shit that you see on social media. Measure your extraordinary outcome against your own vision and your own end game for yourself. That's the only measurement that needs to take place. Don't measure it against your neighbor. Because very few, think about your own life, right? You project a certain thing because you need to. I understand that process. You got to project a certain thing, right? But nobody knows what's going on in your life. Nobody knows. And you have no idea what's going on in somebody else's life. So stop comparing yourself to illusions and start comparing yourself to the rock solid vision that you have in your heart for your destiny and your future. Number 4, persevere through setbacks. Failure is part of the journey. Embrace it. Learn from it and keep moving forward. Number 5, commit fully. Burn the damn boats. Success requires total commitment. Total commitment. Do not have a fallback position. Number 6, learn from history. Understand the successes and the failures of those who came before you. Number 7, inspire and lead. Be the leader who inspires others through your vision, resilience, and unwavering commitment. Number 8, find a system that will predictably deliver you to your own promised land. And that's it. That's what I got for this Saturday. Absolutely. I just want to say thank you to Becky Johnson. If she hears this podcast, this is a complete and total tribute. I give her all of the recognition for the fact that this show was based on her sermon. And you can find her on YouTube. You can watch the sermon that she went through and listen from her own perspective. I wanted to do it with my family from my perspective because I know we all are playing the same game, this business game. And every once in a while, we have to be reminded of our potential. And every once in a while, we need to be reminded that our potential is not a guarantee. And every once in a while, we've got to be reminded that we have to take serious action, that we have to overcome real and genuine fears and doubts and our history when we have failed and our history when we have fallen. We have to overcome that. And the only way that we do that is with each other because we're all at different levels of bravery every day. We're all at different levels of courage. We're all at different levels of inspiration. We're all at different levels of disappointment. We've got to be here for each other, especially in these days. We don't know what's going to come tomorrow. We don't know. But best thing that we can do is to keep this door open for future generations. And by this door, I mean the door of your own destiny through the ownership of a business. By you succeeding. That's how we do it. It's weird. Your success guarantees the opportunity of success for future generations. It's weird. You get to be good so that you can make it good for other people. So do something to step out of your comfort zone today. Do something to realize that you may be on an 11-day journey that you're 10 days into. Remember to love each other. Remember to hold each other up. Remember to inspire each other. Remember to inspire yourself. Remember that you were known before you got here. That there is greatness inside of you. And if you're already great, there's another level of greatness. And that greatness can only come to its total and full fruition in service of other people. I love you all very much. And I am Jason Sisneros. We're going to go to the live, back to the live. So join us, right? Right now we're ending this video. You're going to video's over. You're going to miss the amazing conversations that we have in the live room on Twitter at the J Sisneros. I love you all very, very much. Remember to go, you can go to growthcourse.com and you can get our system for predictable success in business, right? Built to exit.biz. You can see what we're rolling out there and you can get these show notes. Lots of resources. Make sure you continue to share. Thank you for those of you that are sharing this. This movement is getting legs. It's catching on fire, which is exactly what I hoped it would do. And I love your heart. I love your sacrifice. I love what you have to go. I know what you go through every single week. I've been there. I've done that. I'm doing that. We're all in it together. Make it a great week. See you next week.